Hello, horse lovers. Whether you're getting ready to celebrate Christmas or Yule or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever winter holiday you're getting ready to celebrate, I hope that it's going to be wonderful for you. And of course, no matter what winter holiday you're getting ready to celebrate, you're probably thinking of giving somebody a gift at this point. And if you just happen to want a horse book for yourself, or if you're looking for a gift for a horse loving friend, and they happen to also love to read, there are a lot of great holiday horror stories to choose from. And in this video, I want to talk about two of the shorter ones. Now, the first one I want to talk about is actually the one I like better of the two, although I did enjoy reading both books. Um, the first book is called The Promise, and it's by Genevieve McKay. Genevieve McKay is the writer of a few different horse series, including the October Horses and the Three Sisters Farm series. I haven't read her other works yet, but I'm definitely a fan of her writing style after reading this book. She captures the grief of a mother by the name of Elena, who has lost her daughter in a tragic car accident. Now, for a long time after her daughter's death, Elena turned to any unhealthy coping mechanism she could just to drown out the feeling. And she's progressed to the point where she can function mostly in everyday life without any kind of thing to help numb her. She's gone numb on her own. And she doesn't want any kind of feeling in her life anymore because she's afraid that will reopen all the pain. And that includes keeping herself distant from her daughter's horse, Pixar. Pixar had been her daughter's entire world. And Elena had promised her daughter she would take care of Pixar, but to her, she's just decided that means I'll pay for his board at the stable where he always was. He can just live out his life there and I'll just keep selling out the money. That's fine. That's all I'm going to have to do with him. Well, that changes when her daughter's best friend notifies her that Pixar is being pretty badly abused at that stable now. It used to be a great place, but it's under new ownership and things have changed big time. She goes to see Pixar for herself, and in a scene that would outrage any horse lover, she sees somebody riding him using a whip. He's got sores on him from spurs, his mouth has been cut by severe bits. And she says, okay, I'm getting him out of here and pulling him to a good stable. Which she does, and she arranges for a security camera to always show her how Pixar is being cared for. And it's through that security camera that she comes to care about Pixar. And this is very well written, how Pixar gradually comes to be part of her life. She always has the security cameras on her phone and she's always watching where she can make sure the Pixar's doing okay. And through watching his everyday life, she comes to care about him. She comes to see him as a companion to herself. And yet she's never actually gone to see him in person. Now that changes as she sees one of the grooms at the stable start to care about Pixar, start to come take care of him. And she decides, I'm going to sell Pixar to this other girl so he has a human who will always be there for him. Now, I really love up to this point in the story how gradually Elena's relationship with Pixar builds, even without her seeing him. She talks to him through the camera, and it's arranged where he can hear her too, and he starts to respond to her. But when she goes to the stable to see him to give him away, he actually comes up to her to say hello, which is something she never expected. And she looks to this other young girl who's been taking care of Pixar and says, he's your horse now. And to her shock, the girl says, I don't want him. Pixar's a sweet horse, but he's not the horse I'm looking for. I'm actually moving to another country to take riding seriously as a competitor. And Pixar's a great horse, but he's never going to be an Olympic champion. Well, Elena is just floored by this, thinking, I never even thought someone would not want him. Well, the lady who owns the stable where Pixar's kept is like, isn't it obvious you're Pixar's person? He knows you. He remembers you from the good days when your daughter was there for him. And the mother's like, I don't ride. I'm not an outdoorsy person even. I don't even like horses. And the stable owner's like, why don't you just help me groom him for his picture for our stable website? Every horse gets their picture on the website. Let's just get you grooming him. Let's just get you helping set up for the stable party. And she gradually, through getting ready for the holiday party, you could tell it's not where she's part of stable life yet, but you could definitely see her life headed in that direction. I'm amazed at how the author captured healing just in tiny baby steps. It's very well, very realistically written. And I give the author a lot of credit for that. This is a sad story, but it's also a heartwarming one. I could easily see this expanded into a full length book or even potentially a series. I find it unusual and original that this is kind of the reverse of a typical horse story where the daughter wants a horse and the mother gets the horse for her. This is the mother taking on the daughter's horse, which I think is pretty unique. And I give credit because so many horse stories have the same basic formula. This one stands out from the crowd. I definitely give it a recommend. If you're someone who just wants, no, like I said, this could easily be expanded into a full-length book. Well, it's a novella technically, but I can easily see this expanded on. But if you're looking for just a quick read, this is perfect for you. The other story that I read for this Christmas that's also a quick read, and it's aimed at younger viewers, while this one was aimed at more mature readers, I should say. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with anyone of any age enjoying any book they want to enjoy, no matter what the target audience might have been. But the second book that I read that I'm going to talk about today is The Christmas Horse by Lisa Morgan. This is part of the Horse Club series, not to be confused with the Saddle Club series. And I have to say, I find it kind of funny that the author's name is Lisa Morgan, since Morgan is a breed of horse. But she does very accurately show a problem in the horse community in this book. Katie has outgrown her pony's spirit in more ways than one. She's ready for a more advanced horse to compete with, and she physically no longer fits well on his back. Now, this is one reason that personally I am against getting ponies for children. Because they're going to outgrow those ponies, and then what happens to them? This is a problem that Katie faces. What is she going to do with Spirit now? She still loves him. He was the only pony she's ever ridden up to this point, and she can't bear to think of selling him, parting with him in any way. And yet, if she wants to continue to ride, she has to get a different horse. Well, her mother finds two different horses who might be a good match for her. One is named Sally, who is very quiet, and the other is named Razor, who is not quite a good fit at the therapy program he's part of, but he's also a good riding prospect for a young girl who's taking riding lessons. Katie isn't quite sure about either of them, part of that, of course, being that she's still devoted to her own pony. She's nervous about trying to ride a different horse, which is something I absolutely relate to. Right now, I am truly blessed to have a pony of my own. I've talked about him in other videos. If you haven't seen them, his name is Bucky. He's a hackney pony, and I can't imagine any other horse in my life. But when I first started to ride, I had what I call new horse syndrome, where I was definitely afraid to try riding any other horse than the one I'd been riding up to that point. Katie tries Sally, who she finds to be a little too calm for her liking. This isn't a horse she can get to do much more than take on a casual trail ride, which is ideal for some riders. That's why, again, buying a horse when you first start riding, not the best idea because what you're looking for in a riding horse may change. A lot of riders might say, this is all I want to do with horses for the rest of my life, is nice, quiet rides where we don't do more than walk, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you may decide you're a little more adventurous than that. Maybe you want to get into competing. Maybe you want something a little more spirited. Well, Katie's at that point, and she's like, yeah, Sally's really not for me. The other horse, Razor, she's a little afraid of at first, partly because of his name. And I gotta say, I laughed at that because when I first heard Bucky's name, I thought, oh my god, why is he named Bucky? Both Razor and Bucky got their names from their register name, which was tied to who their parents were. Nothing to do with their actual personalities. She rides Razor, and he's a little bit big for her, but with her growing, he's got to be perfect because she'll be able to compete with him in a year or so. She is leaning heavily more towards Razor, but she still doesn't know what am I going to do with Spirit. Well, she comes up with the very good idea of why don't I leash Spirit to someone else? That way I'm still in control of what happens to him, I can still make sure he's taken care of, but someone else will be there to ride him in that. And I don't quite like Katie's character, but I understand it at the same time with the way she approaches finding someone to leash Spirit. She almost wants to have exclusive riding rights to Spirit where she's the only one riding him, and her friends remind her a couple of times, if they're leashing him, they're going to want him to be available to them. And I get that that's hard, but I do find Katie to be just a little unreasonable about it at first. Well, eventually she does find the perfect person to leash Spirit. A young girl who wants a nice, quiet lesson pony to start with to just get into riding, and who will obviously love him and be part of a positive part of his life. But by the time she finds this person and has been debating all this time, Razor has almost certainly been sold to someone else who is looking very heavily into buying him. Of course, this being a Christmas story and a children's book, it has a happy ending where she gets Razor in time for Christmas. It's a little predictable, but not unrealistic in that the other person who is looking at Razor realizes he's a little bit more lively than what she wants, and she's one of those riders who's always going to want a nice, quiet horse like Sally. So she actually ends up buying. So happy ending for all the horses and all the people. Said this is part of the Horse Club series, but you don't have to have read the rest of the series to get what's going on in the story. I give it a lot of good positive marks for its realism and its portrayal of what do you do with a pony who's been outgrown. That is a very common problem in the horse community. And sadly, a lot of ponies do get a bad reputation for that reason. They're shuffled around a lot, and of course, that's going to take an effect on the pony. But this story dealt with that in a very positive way, and it realistically showed the challenges of trying to find your next horse once you have outgrown the horse you've been on. I'm lucky in that Bucky came to me after I'd been taking riding for a few years. I can't see myself ever wanting any horse except him. So, luckily, he and I are a perfect match. I hope that you'll check out these stories. I think any horse lover of any age will really enjoy both of them. And whichever winter holiday you're celebrating, I hope it's wonderful for you. Until next time, keep horses in your life.